I'm Sue,
And I'm Katie. We're a mother-daughter duo.
here to dismantle the generational lies we tell ourselves. So today, if you feel like you are the person holding your team together or your company together and you're that net, then this call is for you.
Today's lie is all about no, how no is not a bad word, that it's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no. In corporate, I know that I spent a lot of time saying yes. Always
Yeah.
say someone asked me to do something, I said, yes, I'm going to do it. And then I killed myself to make sure that I got it done. Right. And I think that it does not solve our issues. It doesn't make things better at the company. It doesn't get you to the top with the biggest raise you could get. What it makes you is a fixer if you don't learn to say no. Saying no makes you the leader, and saying yes makes you the fixer. So, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that that's actually a really good point. I think that in when you're willing to say no to things, that means that kind of like last week we talked about boundaries. It's you're living by and you're adhering to the boundaries that you set. I think so. Warren Buffett, who's one of the most wealthy people in the world, he 99% of the things that cross his desk, he says no to because they don't fit within certain guidelines or pillars that he set up or boundaries that he set up. And so if it doesn't meet those expectations, he doesn't say yes to it. And I think that like you can apply that to any job in like that you have. Um, if your boss asks you to make sure that you're available to answer emails at midnight because they're traveling or something into a different time zone, this is like I personally have been there. It's um that I want to be sleeping at midnight. I don't want to be answering emails at midnight, right? So you can say no to that and you can be okay. It's okay.
Yep, it is. And learning to say no is the hardest thing out there, especially if you're trying to climb the corporate ladder. Um, I spent a lot of time trying to climb the corporate ladder and being the fixer. Because the fixer not only at work, but in life. And
Hmm.
in the end, I didn't really have anything for doing that. The investment that I put in to be the fixer by saying yes didn't reap any benefits. It
Hmm.
just caused me to have burnout. And like in our first session, we talked about that burnout was big enough where we
Yeah.
couldn't remember living in an apartment. We can remember what it looks
Hmm.
like, but we don't remember even being physically in it. And that
Yeah.
seems to me to be way too great. So if you want to grow, though, you can say no. And I think people actually respect that more than they respect you saying yes all the time.
Right. And but we create that, right? So like if someone comes to us like and they're like, well, I'll just use my example. Like my boss like expected me to answer the phone in the middle of the night, like answer emails, like and I was like, okay, because I thought that I had to do that. But you don't. And if you're like, nope, I work from within these hours and not outside of them, that is within your like 100% within your rights and adhering to the boundaries that you've set for yourself to protect you and your energy, yourself, like your well-being.
So, what do you think about the person who says, no, I have to say yes, or I could lose my job tomorrow?
Well, if you can, if by saying no, you could cause you to lose your job, then you probably should go be finding a new job that respects you and your boundaries. However, most of the time that like you're creating that lie with like within yourself. And by telling someone no, you're not going to lose your job. You're creating that boundary and telling them like, no, I like that's not something I'm willing to do. That's not something that I'm okay with. It could be the boundaries like of time where it's like I'm not going to answer the phone in the middle of the night. Or it could be like maybe your boss asks you to do something that's like kind of not, it's like a gray area and you're like, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Like those things you can say no to. If something makes you feel uncomfortable, you don't have to do it.
That's right. I think that a lot of times we feel we do, especially when as women, we've gotten to the top of that rung and we want to stay there and we're competing against men. And in order to stay there, we feel like we have to be the fixer. And then the fixer is saying, yes, 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 yes. Then we go home and we're fixing our life, our families, our spouses, our significant other, our friends, our family, whatever that looks like. And we're saying, yes, 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 there. And the only time we say no is when it's about us. When it's only
Mm-hmm.
about us, we say no, can't do that. There's not enough time. No, I can't read a book. I can't go for a jog. I can't go to bed
Yep.
early tonight. I got to take care of the kids. All of that, when you're only saying no to yourself, you're just building burnout. You're not
Mm-hmm.
even building that high successful career or life that you think you are because you're really not. Because in the end, you're going to burn out and you're going to have to say no because your body will say you have to say no, or you'll have had enough. And then you're going to say no when it's a little too late.
Yeah.
That's when I think you could lose your job when you start saying no then.
Yeah. And I think something important to understand is like stress is a part of burnout, but burnout is so much bigger than stress. Like burnout is something that you feel in every cell of your body. It's an emotional, a physical, um, a spiritual like exhaustion. Like you just feel like you can't go anymore and everything like all the things in your life, work, personal, whatever else you have going on in your life, nothing can be done to the fullest extent because you're not at your best. And
Yeah.
everything just makes you feel exhausted.
Yep. And we wonder why we're so tired. Why we're tired, why we always get sick, why we can't sleep, why we feel like there's not enough time in a day. But really, it's because we do never say no. We always say yes.
Hmm.
And I guess there might be some people out there that say they say yes, but they still feel that. What do you say about that? They still feel burnout.
Because they're saying no, or that say
Yeah.
no.
They're still saying no, but they still
Because
feel
I,
that burnout.
because, well, I think it's, and I don't, different for everybody, but maybe it's that you're saying yes to the wrong things and you're not saying yes to the things that you want to be saying yes to. Or it could be that you're like in terms of career, you're in the wrong job. Like
Mhm.
if your job is causing you stress, like then maybe it's not the right place for you. If your job and I get it. I'm in a career that has one of the highest rates of burnout. Like I work with adults with developmental disabilities and care like that field is one of the has one of the highest rates of burnout along with nurses and teachers. Those are the top three the, that have the highest rate of burnout. So it's
And HR. I would throw
NH
HR
okay, we'll put HR in there too. It's not
because it's about people.
statistically it's not in the top, but we'll put it there because it does there is a lot there's a lot going on there. But you might love what you do. Like like I love what I do and I have practices in place in my life to help me take care of myself in order to be able to do my job and not be burnt out at my job. But if you don't have those tools in place and you're saying yes to everything on top of being responsible for other people's well-being, that can be a lot. So
Yeah,
you have to be willing to take care of yourself. And I think like I'm just thinking to my own job. So like I'm the director, I manage a lot of people. And there is like there are things that are classified as being insubordinate when you're saying no. However, that's not the same thing as like if I ask you to do something that's outside of your job, right? Like if I were to ask one of my staff to do something outside of their job, they can tell me no, and I don't consider that insubordinate because it's not within their job, right?
that's right.
But there might be something within their job that I ask them to do, and saying no is insubordinate. I'm not going to fire them for that. We're going to have a conversation about it. But it's it's also like what it's not about them saying no to that thing. It's about what do you have in place to help with the burnout where no like you can say yes and not feel like you're crossing a boundary. Does that
Yep,
make sense?
yep. And also, you can first take a breath. Like even if you're at the highest level of the VP role or highest level you can be in your job, I think you can take a breath for a second because the person, maybe the CEO is your boss, um, that person may not really know what's on your plate,
Hmm.
but you do. And by saying yes, you're saying, I'm going to get it done. And then if you're like me, because I truly am a fixer, I'm going to make sure that if I got to work 90 hours that week, I'm going to work 90 hours and I'm going to get all of it done that I said yes to. But we don't realize is we can step back, breathe for a second, and then say, hey, Katie, I could do that. I definitely can do that for you. But let me tell you the projects that are on my plate and their due dates. So if
Hmm.
you want me to have that to you by next Friday, here's what I've got to before Friday
Hmm.
and like shortly after Friday. Somewhere I need to be able to move one of those things so that I can do yours by the due date and do it well. Because if I
Hmm.
add it in, I'm going to make it happen, but nothing that I have to do is going to be done well. That that no is saying if it's that important to you that I get it done, help me decide what I don't need to do by Friday so I can do it because currently I'm working amount of hours to get these done. They will respect you more. And they may
Yeah.
say, oh, it's fine. Give it to me the following week.
And I think what you're hitting on is the alternative to yes or no. And
Yep.
that's a yes, but.
It's a yes, but. And
Yes,
that,
I can do that. But this like setting the stage and saying this is what I have. So what are we moving or around to make it feasible for me to do that? So
so
it's
that,
like you're not saying no, but you're saying there's a conditional yes.
yes. And you're moving yourself in that moment from fixer to leader because you're
Hmm.
letting that person know I can do it. But
Hmm.
in order to do it, it's going to take some strategic movement, and then I can do it. But together, we're going to do that movement because otherwise, I have to say no,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah, I remember when I was working in corporate, I I think it was when I was doing like office management or whatever. And like people would come to me all the time and they're like, I need this, or I need to travel here. And was responsible for doing travel arrangements, or like, we're going to this trade show, so we need XYZ, all the things. I would always ask, well, I one felt like saying no was not an option. Like I had to do all the things because that was my job. But what I would always ask is, okay, by when does that need to be done? Because then I
Yes.
could prioritize my day. Or if they told me, oh, I need that by this afternoon, I can I can say, "Oh, I can't get it to you this afternoon because I have X, Y, and Z that need to be done this afternoon, and they were given to me before today, this morning." Because one, it's not fair for someone to come to you and say, "Hey, I need this in an hour. I need this afternoon. I need this XYZ time." Because the truth of the matter is that person probably knew that that needed to be done w- soon, like well in advance to when they're telling you that they need it that afternoon.
Yep. I think I didn't learn to move out of the fixer role till I got out of corporate. And then I started learning about it and teaching myself that I could say no. Because when I was in
Mhm.
corporate at the VP level, if someone needed something from me, I didn't explain why I couldn't do it. I
Mhm.
never thought that was an option. Like I
Yeah.
never thought there was a no but or a yes but. I always thought I had to say yes at that level. And also I there was always fear that if I said no, I wasn't going to be in that role very long.
Right.
And then I wasn't going to be able to put food on the table or even pay the rent of an apartment that I didn't even
Like that I wasn't really living in. Like
right.
I
So
yeah.
I think I, but what happened to me is that I would say yes to everything. And then the end of the quarter would come and people had projects and goals and they said yes to them, but they didn't complete them ever. Like it was almost 99% of the time they were never completed. But whatever I said yes to, I had this thing that said in my head that said, I must complete everything I say yes to. And I would. And at the end of the quarter, I'd be sitting in this big executive meeting, everybody else not completing their stuff, not getting, nobody's saying you didn't do this or you should have gotten this done. And because we didn't get this done, we can't do this in the next quarter or whatever. Or even being said, thank you, you got everything done that you said. I really felt very undervalued,
Mhm.
underpaid. I felt like because I'm in a meeting with all these people and I got all my stuff done and they didn't, that I was like a brown noser,
Mhm.
and that wasn't really what I was doing.
Yeah.
But now I'm sitting in this space thinking I am elevating myself, and I
Mhm.
actually elevated myself. Did that
Yep.
make sense?
But I also think too, like just your example of people in a meeting, I think that lowering your excellence and your standards because other people aren't meeting their own is not the way to say no, if that makes sense. Like you
No.
can say no in advance and it's okay. But like if you say yes, I'm going to do that, like all the other people in that room, and then you don't complete it because you didn't have time or whatever, and you're not the fixer and you're like, "Oh, it's not a big deal. I won't do it." That's their own issue and that's their thing to deal with. For you, it's like I said yes to this thing. I nearly broke myself to complete it and now no like and it really doesn't matter. It's like in the beginning you could have said I can do this part of it by that day.
Correct.
The yes but.
But people around me never did. And
But that's
but
my point.
by the time I left, I had stress. I was sleepless. My self confidence was very low. I felt
Mhm.
undervalued, underpaid, not worthy to be in that role. All those things, only
Mhm.
because those things reared their ugly heads. And then that's who I felt as I walked out the door and sat in my car, as I say in that one video,
Hmm.
crying because I realized what I did at
Yeah.
a cost to me. Because when we say, just by saying no, you're able to build your own emotional bank. And I don't, that could be another podcast for another day about the emotional bank. But the emotional bank is important because if your emotional bank is empty, it's like a checking account. You can't even
Yeah.
do anything. And that's where you get to this place that I was at when I sat in the car, realizing that, 8 years of my life, almost 9 years of my life, everything was done for others and never for me. Even outside, in the outside world with family and all of that. But until you realize that no is a gift to you. But if you, I mean, you do have to use it right. You can't just say no to everything. You have to like use
Right.
it
And I
correctly.
think,
Yeah,
yeah. And I think going back to what you just said about you didn't do things for yourself and it was always for others. There are like people are inherently like givers. I'm one of them. Like I want to do for other people. But in order to be able to do for other people, you have to be willing to do for yourself. Because if you're not doing it for yourself first, that's where burnout comes in.
that's right.
And so
What
you have to be willing to say no for your self-preservation, for your self-care.
Like, so I have my things, I have bookends, and then I sprinkle stuff in between. What do you do
For self-care.
to fill your bank to make sure you don't become empty?
So a few things. I do musical theater or just theater in general. I have the most amazing friends from that world. They're my theater family, and so spending time with them and doing just random things with them. Like last night, we went to a murder mystery dinner theater party to support one of our other friends who was in it. Um, Tomorrow we're doing a Super Bowl party, just spending time with those people. When I need some like me time, like I'm an extrovert, so doing things with other people like give energizes me, but at the same time like there's those moments where like I work with people all day. I spend like I'm literally out like at the house from like 7 most days from like 7 to 10 p.m. spending time with people, and occasionally you just need like a little time to yourself, and so like a really good book, a hot bath with like some great salts, bath salts, and like a candle. Um, that's how I like can relax and spend some time like just with me.
Right. So I always have time for me. Like in the morning, I do meditation. I might listen to a short clip of a podcast and I play Wordle. And then at night, I do a gratitude thing and I read every night. And in between there, I sprinkle things like going on the boat and fishing and hiking and, going out to dinner or entertaining, other couples at our house. So just by doing that, which isn't a lot, it actually keeps the bank
Hmm.
like having something in the bank all day long. So if you're dealing with people all day long, you have to have something in there. Otherwise, they take out the coins all day
Yeah.
long, and then you go home and you got nothing.
Yeah.
And either your spouse or you've got nieces and nephews and you got all these things still to do that relate to people, but you got nothing in the bank.
And sometimes for me, it's as simple as like, because I mean, I'm not taking a bath every day. Like
No.
that's not what I'm doing. I have a longer commute, so listening to books in my car, like while I'm driving, that's one of them. Sometimes it's as simple as like doing my Duolingo. Like I just take 5 minutes and I do my lesson, and then that's the time for me. And that
Right.
that helps like feed me. And like, yes, I am like brushing up on my Spanish to specifically with one of my clients in mind. However, that's also like taking time for me to like learn and enrich my own personal well-being.
So you're like not letting that bank get to zero. That,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a job. And that is you saying no to other things. So like I don't I I don't give up my morning or my evening ever. Those are like my bookends. But if my husband says, "Hey, do you want to go kayaking in the morning?" I'll say, "What time?" And the reason I say what time is not that I won't get up and do it in the morning, is that I want to know because I want to do my little meditation. I want to do my things, and I may need an hour to myself when I first get up and maybe my first cup of coffee. And so if he says 7, I got to get up at 6, right? I'm going to do my things and then I'm going to go do that. And so it's you saying, this is important to me. I'm going to do it's a yes, but I got to do
Mm-hmm.
this, or yes, but we're doing it at 8 because I don't want to get up at 6. I'm going to get up at 7. And the same happens at work. That it is, if they get anything from this, saying no also fills your bank. And you get to say no in your work.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's
it may be important what you have to do. It might be important. Then it's a yes, but, or a no, but. But
mm-hmm.
but you get to make that decision so that you're leading instead of fixing. Your department, if you lead, is not going to fall apart. If you fix, if you're a fixer all the time and say yes and do it for everybody, your team loses. They lose out on growing themselves and they get stagnant too. And then they get stressed and then you have culture issues. So saying yes is not always a good thing.
Right. And I think like it's not, we've talked a lot about saying no in a work setting, and a little bit like you talked about the kayaking. Like it can also go, like it's, this is for every, like across your life. Like I am doing a show right now, right? And there's no secret, I'm a bigger girl. Like I think we all know that. But I there was one costume in the costume shop that, or dress that fit me and was appropriate for the show. And it's the dress that I wore for the last show that I was in, and was it was sized up specifically so that I could be the pregnant maid of honor. And so it was bigger than I would normally wear, and it just, the headspace that it was had me in when I saw the dress had me leaving the costuming room and crying in the bathroom because I had to wear the, like, I knew that this was the dress I was going to be wearing. And I didn't sleep that night because I was like, I'm gonna have to wear this dress. And then I went in the next day, and even though everyone was like, we're not gonna, that's not gonna happen, we're not gonna let that happen, it happened. Like I knew it was gonna happen. And so I'm putting this dress on in the bathroom so they can approve it for costuming. And I'm like, I don't want to wear this dress. Like I'm not gonna, but I didn't have an alternative. And so I came up with an alternative because it was a no for me. I wasn't going to do that. Everybody was like, yes, this is the dress. And I was like, no, it's not. I'm not going to do that. And so I had to like create some loopholes for myself in order to wear a different dress. However, I'm now not wearing that dress. I'm wearing a dress that I feel more comfortable in, that is my actual size, that fits me correctly. Um, but for me, like in order to preserve my well-being, I had to say no in that moment.
Yep. I think learning to say no anywhere across the board in your life. And that doesn't mean that you're always saying no. It doesn't mean that
No, not at all. Like,
you're
and
saying yes a lot. A lot
yeah,
saying no. But you're saying no when the no helps you lead. I think we need to listen to it leads you into the ethics, the legacy that you want, the life that you want to live, the career that you want, but it also leads your team, it leads your kids, it leads your company, it leads everybody down a path where there's growth for everybody. But if you say, if you're always saying yes, you're negating yourself, you're negating your family, you're negating your boss, your company, and in the end, you're the one. You are the only one that gets hurt by that.
Yeah, and I think something that just came up is like there's two things that you can be in this world. You can be liked or you can be respected. And by saying yes to everything, you're saying, I want to be liked
That's right.
instead of saying, I want to be respected. Like I earn and demand respect from people. And when we think about it, the people that we respect in our life, we typically love those people. Like it, and I'm not talking like a romantic love or we love those people. Like we go to those are our go-to people for like all these different like whether it's advice or all the different things. So in this world, do you want to be liked or do you want to be respected? If you want to be liked, then you're going to tell every that you're going to say yes to everything. And that's going to be at your own detriment. But if you choose to be respected, that's at your own what's the growth. Like you're going to grow from that and you're going to create the boundaries and the self-care and the self-worth that you deserve.
And you're going to help other people grow
Yes.
through that process. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you're going to, even if you say yes, you could delegate and help someone else grow. But the point here today is that do you want to be a fixer or do you want to be a leader in not only career but in yourself and in your life in all three pillars because then you're successful and then you're leading and then you're giving and you're servicing others instead of being more of a martyr to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I choose to be the leader. And I was the fixer for many years, all the way up into a VP role. But I choose now to be the leader. And that, again, still 95% of the time, I probably say yes. But there are points when it's not beneficial at the time that I say no and I give a reason why. I think that today we could say, what are you going to be? The fixer?
I'm going to be the leader.
And then I guess everybody out there could ask themselves the same question. Do I want to be the fixer or the leader?
Actually, I challenge you to take that a step further. Speak it as if it already is a thing. The two
Yeah.
most powerful words in the human language when put together are I and am. So it's not that I'm going to choose to be the leader. I am a leader.
Or I am a fixer. You get to choose.
Yeah, you do get to choose, but choose what's going to make you like what's going to support you.
And by the way, you can be a leader at any age. You can be a leader in any job. You can be a five clerk and still be a leader. You could be you can be a leader in your partnership. You can be a leader in the family. It does not matter where. You can be a leader no matter what
Hmm.
you're doing. You don't have to be the fixer.
Hmm. Yeah, I know leaders that are 7, I know leaders that are 20, and I know leaders that are in their 60s, 70s, 80s. So it doesn't matter where you're at.
That's right. So that's it. It's a great session.
Thanks for tuning in today, and we'll see
Yeah.
you next week.
Yep. See you next week.